When actors transform their bodies for a role, we usually think of guys like Christian Bale and Robert De Niro. But some of the most impressive physical transformations in movie history came from actresses who completely changed their appearance to become believable as soldiers, athletes, superheroes, and action heroes. Today we're looking at 5 beautiful actresses who didn't just hit the gym. They got ripped and also transformed themselves into the characters they were playing. Let's start with the actress who may have changed Hollywood forever. When audiences first met Sarah Connor in 1984's The Terminator, she was an ordinary waitress. She was vulnerable, scared, and completely unprepared for the nightmare unfolding around her. She also had a soft and pretty look with her big 80s hair that was so popular at the time. By the time Terminator 2 arrived 7 years later, Sarah Connor had become something entirely different. She knew Judgment Day was coming. She knew humanity faced extinction. And she had spent years preparing her son John to lead the resistance against the machines. That character simply couldn't look like the Sarah Connor from the first film. Linda Hamilton underwent an intense training regimen that included weight training, military-style conditioning, weapons training, and cardiovascular work. The result was one of the most shocking transformations audiences had ever seen from a female actress. The pull-up scene in the psychiatric hospital remains iconic because it instantly tells the audience everything they need to know about Sarah Connor. She's different. In one interview, she described training 3 hours a day, 6 days a week. And that was before the military preparation. Linda told Entertainment Weekly she did judo and heavy-duty military training, calling it sheer hell. She's no longer a victim. She's a warrior. And a little crazy. Sarah was now a badass character, and she carried that attitude throughout the film, more than holding her own opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold said Linda changed both her attitude and her look, and called what he saw extraordinary. This is exactly what Linda wanted. Today, muscular female action heroes are common, but in 1991, Linda Hamilton was blazing a trail. Few transformations generated as much media attention as Demi Moore's preparation for the film G.I. Jane. Moore played Lieutenant Jordan O'Neill, the first woman selected to undergo training with an elite Navy program. The entire premise of the movie revolves around whether she can survive the same brutal physical and mental challenges faced by her male counterparts. If audiences didn't believe she could make it through the training, the movie simply wouldn't work. Moore embraced the challenge completely. She shaved her head, underwent intensive strength training, and prepared for physically demanding scenes that pushed her well beyond the image audiences associated with her during the 1980s and early 1990s. The transformation became almost as famous as the movie itself. Moore later told Howard Stern it was hardcore, explaining that the training involved real SEALs and that she was surrounded by 40 men. On the first day, she ended up with massive blisters and got sick after a mile-long run. When someone told her she didn't have to keep going, Moore said, "Just give me some tape." Moore's transformation for this film is even more interesting because it came right after striptease. For striptease, Demi had sculpted a lean, toned dancer's body built around glamour, sexuality, and control. But G.I. Jane required almost the opposite. She had to strip away the glamour, shave her head, bulk up, and look like someone who could survive elite military training. In back-to-back films, Moore went from a body designed for seduction to a body built for punishment. Whether you love or hate G.I. Jane, there's no denying that Demi Moore committed fully to becoming the character. If there is a gold medal for actress body transformations, Hilary Swank might deserve it. In $1 Million Baby, Swank plays Maggie Fitzgerald, a determined waitress who dreams of becoming a professional boxer. For that to work, Hilary couldn't just look like an actress pretending to box. She had to look like someone who belonged in the ring. Hilary later said she was asked to gain 10 pounds of muscle, but ended up gaining 19. Her routine was brutal. Over 4 hours of training a day, 6 days a week, with boxing, weight training, and a diet built around more than 200 grams of protein a day. She summed up the commitment perfectly. I lived, slept, ate, breathed, and drank boxing. By the time filming began, she didn't just look athletic. She looked like someone who could step into a ring and compete. That's crucial, because the emotional power of $1 Million Baby depends on believing Maggie's journey. the audience has to see her transformation from an unknown underdog into a legitimate contender. Hilary's physical commitment helped make that journey believable, and it ultimately contributed to one of the most acclaimed performances of her career. Jessica Biel is probably the most underrated entry on this list. In Blade, Trinity, Jessica played Abigail Whistler, a vampire hunter and elite combat specialist who joins Blade in his battle against Dracula. Unlike many action movies where actors simply need to appear fit, Biel's character was supposed to be a world-class warrior. She needed the strength, athleticism, and physical presence to stand alongside Wesley Snipes and convince audiences she belonged in that world. She always had an athletic figure, but this role demanded more. Jessica dedicated herself to an intense fitness program that dramatically reshaped her physique, saying, "It's changed my workout routine, the way I eat, and the way I live my life." When the movie was released, her athletic build became one of the most talked about aspects of the film. Jessica said, "I really liked the way my body looked when we shot this." While the movie remains divisive among fans, Jessica Biel's commitment to the role is hard to argue with. Even today, many fans still point to Abigail Whistler as one of the most impressive action hero physiques ever put on screen. Our final entry brings us into the modern superhero era. When Brie Larson was cast as Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel, she faced enormous expectations. Brie was seen as pretty, slender, and feminine, so she had a lot of work to do for the role. Captain Marvel isn't just another superhero. She's one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. Audiences needed to believe that this former Air Force pilot could stand toe-to-toe with cosmic threats and hold her own alongside the Avengers. Brie approached the role with extraordinary dedication. Her training focused heavily on strength development, and she frequently shared portions of her workouts online. Brie said, "I started training first out of sheer panic." She started with cardio and weights before moving into two-a-days in the final months before filming. She later said, "I carved out 9 months and decided to hit it as hard as she could just to see how far she could go." Fans were amazed by the progress she made, particularly the amount of strength she developed during preparation for the role. The transformation reflected a broader shift in Hollywood's approach to female action heroes. Rather than simply appearing thin or athletic, actresses are increasingly expected to build genuine strength and physical capability for these demanding roles. Brie Larson became one of the best examples of that trend. From Linda Hamilton redefining the female action hero in Terminator 2 to Brie Larson bringing superhero strength into the modern era, these beautiful actresses proved that great performances sometimes require extraordinary physical commitment. Each transformation served a purpose. These weren't cosmetic changes made for publicity. They helped audiences believe the character. And they also looked amazing with their muscular, ripped bodies. Decades later, we're still talking about them. Which transformation impressed you the most? And which actress should have made this list? Please let us know in the comments, and please like and subscribe if you like this content.